Shayla, Betwabu, Great Rising. Okay, y'all, we are live. I'm sorry about the little bit of delay this morning. There was an invoice that we had to get sent out first thing, so we just realized it. So the customer was waiting for us. So sorry about that because that project is starting today. Nikki, Betwabu. Time for the day, YouTube. Okay, y'all, let's go ahead and get started. All right. All right, beautiful people. Today is January 27, 2021, day 62 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count is day 731. Remember, that is without the Sabbath days added in and the Sabbath feast days added in, right? Okay, so today we're reading Leviticus 18, 19, and 20. And then we're going to hop over, reading the Legends of the Jews. We're going to finish the last little section in Volume 3, Chapter 1, then we'll move into Chapter 2. All right, y'all, so let's go ahead and begin here with the Shema Israel, with Shema. Okay. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our God, He is one God, and you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. And you shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah command us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our God, for our good always, that He might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do these commandments before Yahuwah our God, as He has commanded us. Top of the day, YouTube. Hey. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and jump over here real quick. Pull this up in Leviticus 18, y'all. Okay. Oh, today is pretty interesting as well. We starting off with forbidden sexual practices. Okay, we all should know this, but it's always a good reminder. All right, Leviticus chapter 18. Forbidden sexual practices is the title of this section. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. I am your God. So do not act like the people in Egypt, where you used to live, or act like the people of Canaan, where I am taking you. You must not imitate their way of life. You know, we kind of talked about this yesterday with the whole blood drinking, Boker Tov, Corey. I like how you used Hebrew this morning, although readily I recognize and I know some of the letters, but I can't read it fluently yet. I ain't gonna try and pronounce that. Okay. But anyway, top of the day. Just like we learned about the blood yesterday, we're not to even act like we are doing what the other nations do, right? And that was with the drinking of the blood. He said, don't eat blood, don't drink blood. We ain't supposed to act like it, right? He's reiterating some of these same things right here, but now we're talking about actual sexual activities that we're forbidden to do. I just start back over since we was only on verse 3. This is Leviticus chapter 18. Then Yahuwah said to Moses, give the following instructions to the people of Israel. I am your God. So do not act like the people in Egypt where you used to live, or act like the people in Canaan where I am taking you. You must not imitate their way of life. You must obey all my regulations and be careful to obey my decrees. For I am Yahuwah, your God. If you obey my decrees and my regulations, you will find life through them. I am Yahuwah. You must never have sexual relations with a close relative, for I am Yahuwah. Do not violate your father by having sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. You must not have sexual relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with any of your father's wives, for this will violate your father. Do not have sexual relations with your sister or half-sister, whether she is your father's daughter or your mother's daughter when she was born into your... Thanks, babe. I appreciate that. Oh, look. Next time, make sure, because sometimes this camera catch the corner. Oh, look. Look. I think it caught a portion of your head, but you safe. You safe. Oh, I love my household, y'all. I love my household. Hold on. Let me double check something really quick. I'm sorry, y'all. Hold on. Something about this invoice. It just popped up. I'm sorry. Make sure this. Okay. All right. Same. Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Just had to make sure that. Okay. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I did have to check that real quick. Okay. We know that Yahuwah had to actually say these things to them, because this is what was being done amongst the other nations where they were at, right? So a lot of things that we hear him say is because it was being done, and they watched these things modeled before them. So he had to bring a separation. He said, listen, I know they was doing this here, and they definitely going to be doing this in a place that I'm taking you. Here's what you don't do. You don't do that. Don't imitate what they're doing. What we are a nation within a nation. We are a nation within a nation that has laws itself. We're a nation with laws within another nation with laws, right? We are to follow and keep to these laws. Keeping these laws, keeping Yahuwah's laws, will keep us from violating any appropriate laws that these nations may have. And it will also keep us from violating the appropriate laws within Yahuwah's laws. And it would keep us from violating those. Yeah, it's just going to keep us all the way around. Like, their laws may violate Yahuwah's laws, but Yahuwah's laws will keep us safe, but it'll also keep us from violating the nation's good laws where we live, right? So Yahuwah's laws is good for all, even though Israel was the only one to accept them. Yeah, shenanigans was happening, but all the other nations, remember, Yahuwah went to all the other nations before he came to Israel. Will you accept my law? They say, yeah, no, because we're going to have to give up this and we're going to have to give up that. Going to get to somebody else, right? So this is why also that the judgment toward the other nations is I'll just say it's so harsh, because they had the opportunity. Yahuwah had actually given every nation the opportunity to accept the law. So a lot of time when we don't even understand it, we think, maybe he being unjust to them. Nope, they had matter of fact, we were the last ones that the law came to, and we accepted. Our ancient ancestors accepted. They say, yes, we will take it and we will do it, right? When the other nations had the opportunity and they say, yeah, no, go and get somebody else. We want to stick with what we're doing over here, right? So had they agreed to accepting Yahuwah's law, they would fare way better than what they do. But since they did it, and they blatantly said, we do not want it. We do not want you. We have our own gods. That's why they get dealt with the way they get dealt with, because they had the opportunity, right? Okay. You must never have sexual relations with a close relative, for I am Yahuwah. Do not violate your father by having sexual relations with your mother. She is your mother. You must not have sexual relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with any of your father's wives, for this will violate your father. Do not have sexual relations with your sister or half-sister, whether she is your father's daughter or your mother's daughter, whether she was born into your household or someone else's. Do not have sexual relations with your granddaughter, whether she is your son's daughter or your daughter's daughter, for this will violate yourself. Do not have sexual relations with your stepsister, the daughter of any of your father's wives, for she is your sister. Do not have sexual relations with your father's sister, for she is your father's close relative. Do not have sexual relations with your mother's sister, for she is your mother's close relative. Do not violate your uncle, your father's brother, by having sexual relations with his wife, for she is your aunt. Do not have sexual relations with your daughter-in-law. She is your son's wife. You must not have sexual relations with her. Do not have sexual relations with your brother's wife, for this would violate your brother. Do not have sexual relations with a woman and her daughter. Do not take her granddaughter, whether her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter, and have sexual relations with her. They are close relatives, and this would be a wicked act. So a lot of times, sometimes we think, now I understand now by some of these laws that Yahuwah has given, sometimes we have those questions like, ooh, wouldn't that be incest? Yes, it would be, and especially according to Yahuwah. So what does that mean when we don't quite understand it? That means we are missing information somewhere down the line, or something was taken out or not canonized with the rest of the information that would even lead us to believe that Yahuwah would be causing his people to commit incestuous, did I say that right? To commit incest, right? Yahuwah said all this is forbidden. They are wicked acts. While your wife is living, do not marry her sister and have sexual relations with her, for they would be rivals, right? And some of this stuff actually happened in Israel, like Judah sleeping with Tamar, his son's wife. Even though his son was dead, that was still his daughter-in-law, right? We also see what happened between Rachel and Leah. Although that was not Jacob's fault, it really wasn't. He was tricked, right, by Laban. So some of these things, it wasn't necessarily, I can't say that. In some cases, it was the man. In some cases, it was the woman. In some cases, in the case of Rachel and Leah, it was the women's father who tricked Jacob because they were twins, both of them. Really beautiful. Rachel just had weak eyes. They cut out the lights at the ceremony, but people tried to warn them. They was like, hey Leah. Jacob was thinking, hey Leah, what song is this they singing? They trying to tell you, bruh, they did trick you. That's not Rachel, that's Leah. But if y'all want there for that part, you can read that in Jasher, or you can actually read that if you got the book. You can read that towards the beginning at that portion. It's in volume 1. But you can find it in Jasher, which makes this story in the Bible that we have canonized a lot more clear on how such things could happen, right? They just left parts out, right? Okay. Do not have sex. Hold on, here we go. Okay, I'll read this again. While your wife is living, do not marry her sister and have sexual relations with her, for they would be rivals. Do not have sexual relations with a woman during her menstrual impurity. Remember, we talked about this yesterday. Today is where he told them, don't do this, right? Do not defile yourself by having sexual intercourse with your neighbor's wife. Do not permit any of your children to be offered as a sacrifice to Molech, for you must not bring shame on the name of Yahuwah. I am your God. Do not practice homosexuality, having sex with another man as with a woman. It is a detestable sin. A man must not defile himself by having sex with an animal. And you will wonder why he need to put this in here, because all of this was going on, y'all. All of this is still going on. A man must not defile himself by having sex with an animal. And a woman must not offer herself to a male animal to have intercourse with it. This is a perverse act. Do not defile yourselves in any of these ways. For the people I am driving out before you have defiled themselves in all these ways. Because the entire land has become defiled, I am punishing the people who live there. I will cause the land to vomit them out. You must obey all my decrees and regulations. You must not commit any of these detestable sins. This applies both to the native-born Israelite and the foreigners living among you. Babe! Watch that corner. You see the response? Do you want me to adjust it? Who's that? Jeremiah? Yes. Tell your dad to look at the email from Stephanie. Ask him, did he want me to adjust it? My turn. I was just about to say, if you ain't got nothing on, don't come across that corner. Go ask him if he needs me to adjust the email. Hurry up. Still, yell it through the door. All these detestable activities are practiced by the people of the land where I am taking you, and this is how the land has become defiled. So do not defile the land and give it a reason to vomit you out, as it will vomit out the people who live there now. Whoever commits any of these detestable sins will be cut off from the community of Israel. So obey my instructions and do not defile yourselves by committing any of these detestable practices that were committed by the people who live in the land before you. I am your God. All right, so remember how it always says the righteous inherit the earth. If we keep to the commands of Yahuwah, when the land starts doing all the shaking and reeling and earthquakes and all this other stuff, and
the third deposit down on the credit card.
He said for the third down for the deposit with credit card.
Yeah, he said view it at 30.
Ask him, did he read the email she just sent? Go ask him that. Yeah, I know. Tell him. Just tell him, and she said it's too much. We know it's not too much, but tell him she said it's too much. And ask him if he want me to adjust it. Just say that. She said it's too much. Do you want me to adjust it? Okay, so this is how when you commit unnatural sins and everything, the laws that Yahuwah has already set in place for the land, you will end up cutting yourself off, because as these things, you got to remember, everything in nature, everything in the world has an angel assigned to it, right? Everything that's being done, there are recorders everywhere. So you do not get away with any of your sins that you think you're getting away with, right? So, okay. So you do not get away with anything. And when it's time for the portion of the land where you live at to be purged, whether it's through disease, famine, catastrophes, whatever you are doing, if it violates the laws of the Most Holy, you're going to find yourself being outside of that glory cloud, and you're going to begin to be plucked off. People die before their time, freak accidents, people dying from bee stings, different things like that. Why? The land is vomiting you out. So we must be really careful to keep to Yahuwah's commands, y'all. I'm telling you, if one thing don't get you, the next plague will. So I'm just saying, keep to Yahuwah's commands, and we keep our life, right? And not just us for real, but everybody else for real. Although they rejected it, we got our own laws and stuff, but Yahuwah's laws, he calls them the laws for his people, but all human beings on this earth really should be his people. He created us all, right? But people decided, yeah, we don't want you to be our creator anymore. We're going to make us our own gods. And by default, they cut them own selves off, right? Okay. Leviticus chapter 19. Yahuwah also said to Moses, give the following instructions to the entire community of Israel. You must be holy because I, Yahuwah, your God, am holy. Each of you must show great respect for your father and mother, and you must always observe my Sabbath days of rest. I am Yahuwah, your God. Do not put your trust in idols or make mental images of gods for yourselves. I am Yahuwah, your God. When you sacrifice a peace offering to Yahuwah, offer it properly so you will be accepted by Yahuwah. The sacrifice must be eaten. The sacrifice must be eaten. Sacrifices are eaten. It's food. We're preparing food. Thank you, Father. Unless it's a burnt offering, then it's burnt completely up. Right? Sweet smell and savor before Yahuwah. When you sacrifice a peace offering to Yahuwah, offer it properly so you will be accepted by Yahuwah. The sacrifice must be eaten on the same day you offer it, or on the next day. Whatever is left over until the third day must be completely burned up. If any of the sacrifice is eaten on the third day, it will be contaminated, and I will not accept it. Do not cut that game on. Y'all go get yourselves together, and you can eat. Then we'll get the school done first. The sacrifice must be eaten on the same day you offer it or on the next. Whatever is left over until the third day must be completely burned up. If any of the sacrifice is eaten on the third day, it will be contaminated, and I will not accept it. Anyone who eats it on the third day will be punished for defiling what is holy to Yahuwah and will be cut off from the community. When you harvest the crops of your land, do not harvest the grain along with the edges of your field, and do not pick what the harvesters drop. It is the same with your grape crop. Do not strip every last bunch of grapes from the vines, and do not pick up the grapes that fall to the ground. Leave them for the poor and the foreigners living among you. I am Yahuwah, your God. There's some in my room on my dresser. Okay, well, give me a minute. I'll get it for you. Do not steal. Do not deceive or cheat one another. Do not bring shame on the name of your God by using it to swear falsely. I am Yahuwah. Do not defraud or rob your neighbor. Do not make your hired workers wait until the next day to receive their pay. If you have employees, you got a business, pay them people on time. When they showed up to work for you on time, pay them people on time, right? Let me tell you something. I know sometimes, especially when you're a small business, like when we're just starting out, a lot of times we didn't even pay ourselves. But even to our own hurt, a lot of times when our bills was kind of piling up because we were being paid slow by some of our vendors, we always paid our people on time. Even if we needed to go borrow against something so we could make payroll, we made sure our people was paid on time. Even when we didn't pay ourselves and we got months behind until things start picking up, we always paid our people on time. That is not something anybody will ever cry out against the Most High against us, because he said, if you don't pay them people on time, the people you hired to come work for you, he said, when they cry out to me, I'm going to listen to them and I'm going to come after you. We don't want no smoke with him. Whatever we need to do, always make sure our people was paid on time. I'm telling you. Okay. Do not steal. Do not deceive or cheat one another. Do not bring shame on the name of your God by using it to swear falsely. I am Yahuwah. Do not defraud or rob your neighbors. Do not make your hired workers wait until the next day to receive their pay. Do not insult the deaf or cause the blind to stumble. You must fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not twist justice in legal matters by favoring the poor or being partial to the rich and powerful. Always judge people fairly. Do not spread slanderous gossip among your people. Do not stand idly by when your neighbor's life is threatened. I am Yahuwah. Do not nurse hatred in your heart for any of your relatives. Confront people directly so you will not be held guilty for their sin. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against a fellow Israelite, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah. You must obey all my decrees. Do not make two different kinds of animals. Do not plant your field with two different kinds of seed. Do not wear clothing woven from two different kinds of thread. He's talking about the mixture. He said, don't mix stuff. He said, if I wanted it mixed, I would have mixed it. Everything I made was perfect. Do not mix things, right? If a man has sex with a slave girl whose freedom has never been purchased, but who is committed to become another man's wife, he must pay full compensation to her master. But since she is not a free woman, neither the man nor the woman will be put to death. The man, however, must bring a ram as a guilt offering and present it to Yahuwah at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will then purify him before Yahuwah with the ram of the guilt offering, and the man's sin will be forgiven. When you enter the land and plant fruit trees, leave the fruit unharvested for the first 3 years and consider it forbidden. Do not eat it. In the 4th year, the entire crop must be consecrated to Yahuwah as a celebration of praise. Finally, in the 5th year, you may eat the fruit. If you follow this pattern, your harvest will increase. I am Yahuwah, your God. Do not eat meat that has not been drained of its blood. So people eating steaks and stuff that look like a little red, not like fully drained you like that. Don't do that. Don't. Do not eat meat that has not been drained of its blood. Do not practice fortune telling or witchcraft. Do not trim off the hair on your temples or trim your beards. Do not cut your bodies for the dead. Do not mark your skin with tattoos. I am Yahuwah. Do not defile your daughter by making her a prostitute, or the land will be filled with prostitution and wickedness. Keep my Sabbath days of rest and show reverence towards my sanctuary. I am Yahuwah. Do not defile yourselves by turning to mediums or to those who consult spirits of the dead. I am Yahuwah, your God. Remember, Yahuwah's, even the prophets will tell you, is there not a prophet of Yahuwah in the land where we can consult Yahuwah? We are to go to the most holy for everything, right? He is our mighty one. If we have need of anything, we are to consult him alone, right? I cannot stress that enough. We, Yahuwah's people, are to consult Yahuwah alone. King Saul got himself in trouble for this, right? We are not to do that. Yahuwah is the only one that we talk to. He's the only one we consult, right? Okay. Do not defile yourselves by turning to mediums or to those who consult the spirits of the dead. I am Yahuwah, your God. Stand up in the presence of the elderly and show respect for the aged. Fear your God. I am the Lord. Do not take advantage of foreigners who live among you in your land. Treat them like native-born Israelites and love them as you love yourself. Remember that you were once foreigners living in the land of Egypt. I am Yahuwah, your God. Do not use dishonest standards when measuring length, weight, or volume. Your scales and weights must be accurate. They must be balanced. Your containers for measuring dry materials or liquids must be accurate. I am Yahuwah, your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You must be careful to keep all my decrees and regulations by putting them into practice. I am Yahuwah. Okay. Last chapter, y'all. Leviticus chapter 20. Punishments for disobedience. Okay, we decide we ain't gonna keep this. Okay, let me tell you what's gonna happen, right? Yahuwah said to Moses, give the people of Israel these instructions, which apply both to native Israelites and to the foreigners living in Israel. If any of them offer their children as a sacrifice to Molech, they must be put to death. The people of the community must stone them to death. I myself will turn against them and cut them off from the community, because they have defiled my sanctuary and brought shame on my holy name by offering their children to Molech. And if the people of the community ignore those who offer their children to Molech and refuse to execute them, I myself will turn against them and their families and will cut them off from the community. This will happen to all who commit spiritual prostitution by worshiping Molech. Now let me just pause here just for a second, just in case you have not caught what was happening. You got to get rid of half your clothes. Poly and cotton blend shopping time. Dana. Listen here, y'all. I think most of you know who Molech is, right? He was a god that the other nations, they worship, right? And to appease for their sins, they would offer their children, the blood of their children, right? They range from babies all on up. They weren't just small babies, right? They were babies, they were toddlers, they were the teenagers. You know, some of them walk and talk like, no, don't offer me up. I'm leaving this nation. Where's the nation whose God is Yahuwah, right? Listen, Yahuwah said, do not do this. And they did this to I guess to also atone for their sins, right? But if y'all understand what is going on with Molech and what they're doing, it will also help you to see some leaven that has been added through the scriptures, right? If Yahuwah says, do not offer your children up, right? Your children cannot atone for your sins. Do not send them through the fires of Molech. Will he then turn around and do the same? Bueller? Anybody? Did y'all catch what I just said? If he said, do not cause your children to die to atone for your sins, you cannot offer your children up. Matter of fact, it's going to get into this a little bit more. And also in the books of the prophets, he said, do not do this. Human sacrifice is an abomination to me. If human sacrifice is an abomination, and he also says that the righteous cannot die for the wicked. He said it is an abomination. He said the wicked shall die for their own sins. Would he then turn around and do that same thing? See how we get all this combobulated when we don't hear the words of Yahuwah himself? Because if you keep on reading and you get over down further throughout the book where Yahuwah doesn't even speak anymore, they have him saying 1 or 2 lines, right? But everything that is being said, if you're not familiar with what the Most Holy has said out of his mouth and what he requires, you get it all wrong, because everything is the complete opposite. They're doing every single thing that he said not to do, even offering the righteous for the wicked to atone for their sins. He said this will never happen. He said that is an abomination. The righteous can never die and atone for the sins of the wicked. People don't get that, and when you tell them that, it's like we are blaspheming, right? So we got to go back. Who is the authority, right? Is it the Creator himself? Or is it those who are regurgitating his words, but flipping them around? It's like a very, 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 very bad game of telephone. What Yahuwah said is not being said here. And what's being said here, the misinformation here, is being done by the masses. And when Yahuwah opens your eyes to that, it's like I'm telling you, it's the great deception. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's the great deception. Everything is completely flipped around. And if you don't read it, that's why they say, oh, the Old Testament is done away with. You don't even need to read it no more because it's all fulfilled over here. Yeah, I'm going to check you and see if what you're saying is true. And they strategically pull different things. And this was fulfilled here. And this was fulfilled here. But wait a minute. Did not the Old Testament give us the actual fulfillment? Because everything that was done, it actually tells you when it was fulfilled. If it wasn't fulfilled, like what's going to happen at the end days, Yahuwah says, seal this up. That's a secret. I'm going to reveal it to them at that time. Right? But anything Yahuwah says, that's why I say you got to get to learn. You have to learn how Yahuwah operates. You have to learn his character. When he says something, it happens exactly when he said it's going to happen, right? If he say you're going to die tomorrow, you're going to die tomorrow. But when you get down here, it has him like he's just leaving open-ended statements all the time. That is not Yahuwah's character, right? Okay. That's what they say, Dana. That's what they say. I ain't going to repeat the statement simply for the fact somebody may come in and hear that. But if you're on Facebook, yeah, that's what they say. That's what they say. They say that he was God, but he is not. He is not. He is not. Because just about everything, there's a lot of leaven mixed in there in that loaf. There's a lot of stuff mixed in there that goes directly against. That's why. And it wasn't until I actually started reading, I was like, so this is what people talking about. It contradicts. But a lot of people, they say, oh, it contradicts. That's why I don't even read none of it. They say that as a cop-out to just throw the whole thing away. That is not what I'm telling you to do. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There is contradictions in there. But you have to find out why the contradictions are there, right? And then you have to appropriately line stuff up. Remember, Yahuwah is the authority. Everything needs to be bounced against what Yahuwah has said, not other people's interpretation of what he said, because Yahuwah always gives his own interpretation. That's what we find out as we read through the Old Testament. Nothing is left to chance for you to try and figure out what Yahuwah meant, right? Because he tells you. But then you get over here, if you never read it, that'll never pop up in your Shana. But didn't Yahuwah say that this meant that? How can you now say that this means this, right? That's what I'm saying, y'all. So we'll leave that right there. And just start this over, right? Where we're talking about how Yahuwah saying human sacrifice is an abomination. I would not accept it, and the righteous cannot die for the wicked. Let's start this over. Leviticus chapter 20, verse 1. This is the last chapter here before we jump over to the legends of the Jews. Yahuwah said to Moses, give the people of Israel these instructions, which apply both to native Israelites and to the foreigners living in Israel. If any of them offer their children as a sacrifice to Molech, they must be put to death. The people of the community must stone them to death. I myself will turn against them and cut them off from the community, because they have defiled my sanctuary and brought shame on my holy name by offering their children to Molech. If Yahuwah said that's an abomination, why would he offer? Why would he do that? Why would he do that, right? He would not. And if the people of the community ignore those who offer their children to Molech and refuse to execute them, I myself will turn against them and their families and will cut them off from the community. This will happen to all who commit spiritual prostitution by worshiping Molech. I will turn against those who commit spiritual prostitution by putting their trust in mediums or in those who consult the spirits of the dead. I will cut them off from the community. So set yourselves apart to be holy, for I am Yahuwah, your God. Keep all my decrees by putting them into practice, for I am Yahuwah, who makes you holy. Anyone who dishonors father or mother must be put to death. Such a person is guilty of a capital offense. If a man commits adultery with his neighbor's wife, both the man and the woman who have committed adultery must be put to death. If a man violates his father by having sex with one of his father's wives, both the man and the woman must be put to death, for they are guilty of a capital offense. If a man has sex with his daughter-in-law, both must be put to death. These have committed a perverse act and are guilty of a capital offense. If a man practices homosexuality, having sex with another man as with a woman, both men have committed a detestable act. They must both be put to death, for they are guilty of a capital offense. It's the same thing for a woman. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, he has committed a wicked act. The man and both women must be burned to death to wipe out such wickedness among you.
Am I good now?
Huh?
Am I good?
Wait, did you read her response?
No, I ain't talking about that. I don't care about that.
Oh, okay.
About that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
You fully clothed yourself, husband.
Hey, I love you, man.
Love you too.
Hey, call me once you finish up with that.
Okay.
I gotta talk to you about some stuff.
Okay. All right.
Did you start your video over?
What do you mean?
No, I turned it on the corner.
No, it was like right there at the corner. I saw your hair, but you was coming to give me my jacket, so my jacket was in front of you.
Gotcha,
Oh, blessed be the most holy. Okay. Oh, that was funny. Oh, wow. Okay. Where's that at? Did I go up? Oh, okay, verse 14. Okay. If a man marries both a... Huh? Yeah, you do that to me. You get me all thrown off. All this combobulated. If a man marries both a woman and her mother, he has committed a wicked act. The man and both women must both be burnt to death to wipe out such wickedness from among you. If a man has sex with an animal, he must be put to death, and the animal must be killed. If a woman presents herself to a male animal to have intercourse with it, she and the animal must both be put to death. You must kill both, for they are guilty of a capital offense. If a man marries his sister, the daughter of either of his father or his mother, and they have sexual relations, it is a shameful disgrace. They must be publicly cut off from the community. Since the man has violated his sister, he will be punished for his sin. If a man has sexual relations with a woman during her menstrual period, both of them must be cut off from the community, for together they have exposed the source of her blood flow. Do not have sexual relations with your aunt, whether your mother's sister or your father's sister. This would dishonor a close relative. Both parties are guilty and will be punished for their sin. If a man has sex with his uncle's wife, he has violated his uncle. Both the man and woman will be punished for their sin, and they will die childless. If a man marries his brother's wife, it is an act of impurity. He has violated his brother, and the guilty couple will remain childless. You must keep all my decrees and regulations by putting them into practice. Otherwise, the land which I am bringing you as your new home will vomit you out. Do not live according to the customs of the people I am driving out before you. It is because they do these shameful things that I detest them. But I have promised you, you will possess their land, because I will give it to you as your possession, a land flowing with milk and honey. I am Yahuwah your God, who has set you apart from all other people. You must therefore make a distinction between ceremonially clean and unclean animals, and between clean and unclean birds. You must not defile yourselves by eating any unclean animal or bird or creature that scurries along the ground. I have identified them as being unclean for you. You must be holy, because I, Yahuwah, am holy. I have set you apart from all other people to be my very own. Y'all gonna roll with me? Y'all gotta look like me. Y'all gotta act like me. When people see y'all, they're gonna see me, right? So because I'm holy, you too are required to be holy, right? Men and women among you who act as mediums or consult the spirits of the dead must be put to death by stoning. They are guilty of a capital offense. In the KJV, it says, thou must not suffer a witch to live. Right? Okay. All right, y'all. So that's the reading in Leviticus. That was Leviticus 18, 19, and 20. So let's go ahead and hop on over here to the Legends of the Jews. Where we at? What time we at? We're at 42 minutes. Okay, y'all. All right. Okay. So we're going to end this part with Jethro. Remember, if you're in the same size book I am, it's page 262. If you got a smaller book that has different page numbers, it's volume 3, chapter 1. It's the last section, and it's called Jethro. Okay. Smite a scorner, and the simple will beware. The destruction of Amalek brought Jethro to his senses. Jethro originally was in the same plot with Amalek, both having incited Pharaoh against Israel. But when he saw that Amalek lost this world and the other, he repented of his sinful ways, saying, there is nothing left to me but to go over to the God of Israel. And although he dwelt in the greatest wealth and honor, he determined to set out for the desert to Moses and his God. That's like people, it's like, ooh, that happened to you? Yeah, we not going that route. Okay, tell me what he did. Yeah, we not doing that. Yep, we not hanging with y'all no more. We gonna go submit ourselves to the God of Israel. Yep, he said when he saw what happened to Amalek, then he lost what was here. He lost his possessions in this world and in the world to come. He said, yep, not I. That's like me. I'm gonna learn from your mistakes. Y'all saw what happened to Keisha last week? Yeah, no, we not doing that. Arrived at the camp of Israel, he could not enter it, for it was enveloped by a cloud that none could pierce. Hence he wrote a letter to Moses and shot it off with an arrow so that it fell into the camp. The letter read, I adjure thee by thy 2 sons and by thy God to come meet me and receive me kindly. If thou wilt not do it for my sake, do it for thy wife's sake. And if thou wilt not do it for her sake, do it for thy son's sake. For Jethro brought with him his daughter Zipporah, and from whom Moses had been divorced, as well as her 2 sons, her only children, for after her separation from Moses, she had wed no other man. Y'all be quiet. At first, Moses was inclined to give no ear to this letter, but Yahuwah said to him, I, through whose word the world came into being, I bring men to me, and do not thrust them back. I permitted Jethro to approach me, and I did not punish him from me. And I did not push him from me. So do thou, too, receive this man who desires to take himself under the wings of the Shekinah. Let him approach, and do not repulse him. Yahuwah said, anybody that want to come near to me, let them come. He said, if they want to come to me, I will not push them away, right? And it's not just talking about us, our people. He's talking about other nations. If they want to come to me, they want to submit themselves and come into this glory, let them come, right? And it'd be good for us to remember that, especially because I see some of our people waking up, and I get the anger. I really do, because I was there with that whole anger for like a couple days. But Yahuwah was like, you cannot stay there, right? And I see a lot of our people, I call them the hate bulls, right? And you'll see them, they preaching madly on corners and yelling at people. They got stuck in that anger when they realized what has happened to us, right? Yahuwah said, you cannot stay there. You got to keep going, right? And so that's how I was able to progress so fast within a year's time, right? Just within a year's time. Yahuwah herewith taught Moses that one should repulse with the left hand and beckon on with the right. Moses, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, together with the 70 elders of Israel, carried with them the sacred ark, hastening to welcome Jethro kindly. And Moses so honored his father-in-law as to make an obeisance before him and kiss him. Before Moses told his father-in-law of the great miracles Yahuwah had wrought for Egypt, such as the exodus from Egypt, the cleaving of the sea, the rain of manna, and the rest, he offered him the greeting of peace. For great is peace that precedes event. For great is peace that precedes. It says event. It should be even. Okay. For great is peace that precedes even the praise of Yahuwah. After the great peace greeting, Moses, to draw his father-in-law nearer to true faith in Yahuwah and his revelation, began to relate to him the miracles that Yahuwah had wrought for them at the exodus from Egypt, during the passing through the Red Sea, and during the war with Amalek. He said, moreover, in the manner that Yahuwah gives us, we perceive the taste of bread, of meat, of fish, and sort of all the dishes that are. Out of the well that Yahuwah gives us, we draw a drink that possesses the taste of old wine as well as new, of milk and of honey. In short, of all the beverages that exist, we shall, Moses continued, receive 6 other gifts from Yahuwah: the land of Israel, the future world, the new world, the sovereignty of David, and the institution of priests and Levites. When Jethro heard all of this, he determined to become a Jew and believe in the only God. And although he felt a pang at heart upon hearing that the Egyptians had perished, for no one should scoff at a heathen before a proselyte who was not a Jew of 10 generations standing, still he burst into a song of praise to Yahuwah for the deeds he had done for one of his people. For the deeds he had done for his people. In truth, it reflects shame upon Moses and the 60 myriads of Jews that they had not given thanks to Yahuwah for the release from Egypt until Jethro came and did so. He said, praise be Yahuwah who delivered Moses and Aaron, as well as the whole nation of Israel from the bondage of Pharaoh, that great dragon, and of the Egyptians. Truly, great is Yahuwah before all gods, for whereas formerly not a single slave succeeded in escaping from Egypt, he led 60 myriads out of Egypt. There is no God whom I had not at some time in my life worshipped, but now I must admit that none is like the God of Israel. This God had not been unknown to me heretofore, but now I know him better. For his fame will sound throughout the world, because he visited upon the Egyptians exactly what they had planned to undertake against Israel. They wanted to destroy Israel by water, and by water they were destroyed. With sacrifices and a feast was the arrival of Jethro celebrated, For after he had made the burnt offering not far from the bush of thorns that had been unscathed by fire, Jethro prepared a feast of rejoicing for the whole people, at which Moses did not consider it below the dignity to wait on the guests in person. In this, he followed the example of Abraham, who in person waited on the three angels, though they appeared in the guise of idolatrous Arabs. Abraham, like Moses, sought to follow the ways of Yahuwah, to provide each according to his wants, and to grant everybody what he lacks, whether he be a righteous man or an idolater who through his sins conjures up Yahuwah's wrath. To this feast the people sat down according to their tribes. They ate, drank, and were merry, while Aaron and Jethro and their relatives sang songs of thanksgiving to Yahuwah and praised him as the creator and donor of their lives and their liberty. At the same time, they gave due appreciation to Moses, through whose courage everything had happily come to pass. In his words of gratitude to Moses, Jethro also gave expression to many glorious eulogies on the people of Israel, but he especially extolled Moses, who through difficulties and dangers had shown so much courage in the salvation of his friends. And that is the end of chapter 1. So we'll go ahead and start over here in chapter 2, the installation of the elders. Oh, let me say something real quick, y'all. I know it's going to be a while. It's going to be a while. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, remember I was just talking about how the Torah was offered to all the nations before it was offered to Israel. And before, it's been at least a month now. I had jumped ahead a little bit just to kind of read that portion. We are coming back upon that portion. It's like, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 pages away, y'all. So we actually read it December, because I date everything. We actually read it on December the 15th, 2020. That's when we read about how all the other nations, when Yahuwah went to all the other nations and said, will you accept my Torah? They said, no, go and get it to somebody else. We already got gods that we worship. Like, how do you say to the creator of the entire living world and the creator of you, human beings, right, tangible and intangible, how can you say to him, no, we don't want you to be our God? We got gods. Gods that we made with our own hands. Gods, I mean, come on. Like, people.
Sounds pretty limited, don't it?
Yeah, very limited. Give me some on that. That sounds pretty limited. Wait a minute. I'm almost done. Hold on. 1 minute. 1 minute. Give me 2 minutes. But what? Yes, it is, son. It's just the... Check out there. I see somebody with blues, but I think it's just the brown ones today. Okay. The installation of elders. All right, so we'll probably get to that because tomorrow the Sabbath, so we actually may start on that. I want to say... we'll probably get to this where everybody else refused the Torah on, I think we'll be there on Saturday. Okay, so chapter 2, this next section, the installation of the elders. Oh, something else I wanted to say. Before I said that, then I realized, y'all know, I shared it with my mom and them last night because I was reading ahead in here last night. I was looking for something on Daniel and something more, see if we understood everything, the vision and everything about the end times. I'm like, okay, Father, what is going to be revealed here to us, to our generation, right? He said, Daniel, seal it up, that's enough. What's going to happen then will be revealed during those times, right? So I wanted to make sure I had, at least with everything that I have, I wanted to make sure that I had all the information, right? Because I'm like, we're still missing something here for this time. Like I can feel it. I can feel it down in my shana now that we're missing a very valuable piece of information, right? And so that's what I'm praying I was looking for. But what I came across was who that fourth person was in the fiery furnace. Y'all know, and for the ones that already know, don't say nothing, y'all. Don't get away. But seriously, like Alicia, y'all, Mama, y'all don't say nothing, right? Shalom, shalom, Bird. Listen, guess, y'all, who was that fourth person in the fiery furnace with Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego, right? Let me tell y'all something. When I tell you that the canonized 66 books is literally like the summation of the bigger story, because Nebuchadnezzar actually, when he saw that fourth person in there, some of his words was cut off, right? Nebuchadnezzar, and I didn't realize till last night, Nebuchadnezzar knew who that fourth person was. They just kind of shortened his words a little bit on who it was in there. He recognized him because he's seen him before. Take a guess who it was, y'all. Mm-hmm. Boom, 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 boom. We got one answer. Anybody gonna guess on YouTube? I give you a big hint. It's not who the church teacher was in there. The church teacher that it was JC inside the fire that showed up. It wasn't JC. Okay. It wasn't Abraham. It wasn't Joshua. It was none other than the angel Gabriel. Nebuchadnezzar knew him because he saw him when they was at that big war with King Sennacherib. He said, I know him. I seen him at... No, it wasn't Daniel. It was the angel Gabriel, right? There is a whole scene, a whole conversation that was left out right there, even with Yahuwah and what they were actually going to do to save them from the fire, right? I just kind of... It's here. It's all the way towards... like the middle of volume 4, right? Just give you real quick. They was like, look, you see what's about to happen down here? You know, because every time something about to happen, the angels run back. Yeah, you see what's about to happen? Yahuwah say, don't worry, I'm going to espouse his case. We got this, right? And so the angels was like, well, what about this and what about this? He said, no, we don't want to do that because this is going to turn out like this and they're going to think is this. So Yahuwah has a perfect answer for every single thing, right? So what they did, the angel Gabriel went down and they cooled off the fire from the inside, and he stayed in there with them, right? The 3 Hebrew boys knew who he was. Anyway, they was in there talking. They cooled it off from the inside while the outside continued to remain blazing hot, right? So anybody who had gotten close to it was still burned up. But that's how it was. They cooled it down. He got in there and he cooled it down from the inside. There were actually a couple of angels talking. Yahuwah said, Gabriel, you go. But anyway, if you go back there, if you have it, just jump back there. It's in a section about Daniel. And you can just kind of read through and get the rest of the story that was left out. So when you would get that portion, it's like, oh, well, that made sense over here in the Bible with this part and here. Okay, so King Nebuchadnezzar knew who he was. And I say Nebuchadnezzar, kids, VeggieTales, and they call King Nebuchadnezzar Nebuchadnezzar. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I was so excited about that. I was like, oh, I found out who the 4th person was. So I had everybody guessing last night. I said, nope, wrong, guess again. Everybody got to give me one good guess. So, but anyway, all right, y'all. Let's go ahead and read this little section so we can get out of here. Okay, chapter 2, the installation of the elders. Jethro, who had come to Moses shortly before the revelation on Mount Sinai, stayed with his son-in-law for more than a year. In the first months, however, he had no opportunity of observing Moses in the capacity of judge, for Moses spent time from day to day. Hold on. It's some typos in here sometime and I catch it. Okay. For Moses spent the time from day to day of the revelation to the 10th day of Tishri almost entirely in heaven. Hence, Jethro could not be present at a court proceeding of his before the 11th day of Tishri, the first day after Moses returned from heaven. Jethro now perceived how Moses sat like a king upon his throne, while the people who brought their lawsuits before him stood around him. This so displeased him that he said to his son-in-law, why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by thee from morning even until evening? Moses answered, because the people come in unto me and inquire of Yahuwah. It is not in my honor that they stand, but in honor of Yahuwah, whose judgment they would know. When they are in doubt over a case of clean or unclean, or when there is a dispute between two parties which they desire to have settled exactly according to the law or in conformity with a compromise, they come to me. And when the parties at dispute leave, they part as friends and no longer enemies. I expound to the people besides the words of Yahuwah and his decisions. Yes, baby girl, listen. Don't take this. I need this. Okay, you can go ahead and look at that. That's a map. On the day that Moses again took up his activity as a judge, and Jethro had for the first time the chance of observing him, came the mixed multitude with the pleas that they, like the other Israelites, wanted their share in the Egyptians' booty. Moses' method, first seen by him in practice, struck Jethro as most absurd, and he said, therefore, the thing that thou doest is not good. Through delicacy, softening his real opinion, it is bad too. It is not good. The people, he continued, would surely unbraid thee and Aaron and his 2 sons Nadab and Abihu and the 70 elders if thou continue in this fashion. If thou wilt hearken now unto my voice, thou wilt fare well, provided Yahuwah approves of my plan. This is that thou shalt be the vessel of revelations of Yahuwah, and shalt lay the revelations of Yahuwah before the people as often as thou receive them, so that they may understand the exposition of the Torah as well as its decisions. And thou shalt instruct them how to pray in the synagogues, how to tend the sick, and how to bury their dead, how to render services of friendship to one another, how to practice justice, and how, in some cases, not to insist on strict justice. But as for trying the people as a judge, thou shouldest, in accordance with thy prophetic insight, choose men that are possessed of wisdom, fear Yahuwah, modesty, hate covetousness, love of truth, love of humanity, and a good name. And these shall devote all their time to trials and to the study of the Torah. If Yahuwah approve my plan, then wilt thou and Aaron and his sons and the 70 elders and all the people dwell in peace. This counsel of Jethro's found great favor in Moses' eyes. I don't know, Pooh. I think it's dirt from when Dad walked back in here. We gotta sweep it up in a minute. This counsel of Jethro's found great favor in Moses' eyes, for he had been only too well aware of the difficulties and annoyances with which he had to contend. The people were very disputous, being willing to spend 70 silverlings in litigation costs for the sake of gaining 1 silverling, and did their utmost to lengthen their disputes at law. Went on say that Moses was about to cast a decision against him, he demanded that his lawsuit be adjourned, declaring that he had witnesses and other proofs which he would bring forward on the next occasion. Don't we kind of see this happening? If y'all go to court cases and stuff, we see this happening. Oh, case adjourned. Let's push this date out. We got some more witnesses and stuff we need to bring in, right? It's like they keep pushing it off and pushing it off. You know, they think it's going to be a win for them in ways they can bring in more witnesses and more proof and all this other stuff. Y'all see these shenanigans. But they were not merely litigious and They were not merely litigious and disputations. It says disputations. Maybe they missing a word. They were not merely litigious and full of disputations. They were also spiteful and vented their temper on Moses. If Moses went out early, they would say, behold, the son of Amram, who betakes himself early to the gathering of manna, that he may get the largest grains. If he went out late, they would say, behold, the son of Amram, he goes to the multitude to gather in marks of home. If he chose a path aside from the crowd, they said, behold, the son of Amram, who makes it impossible for us to follow the simple commandment to hone the sage. Then Moses said, if I did this, you were not content. And if I did that, you were not content. I can no longer bear you alone. The eternal your God have multiplied you, and behold, you are this day as the stars of the heaven for multitude. Yahuwah, the God of your fathers, make you 1,000 times so as many as ye are, and bless you as he has promised you. The Israelites were not content with this blessing of Moses, and said to him, O our teacher Moses, we do not desire thee to bless us. We have had much greater blessings given to us. Yahuwah spoke to our father Abraham, I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thou dost limit our blessings. Moses cried, I am only a creature of flesh and blood, limited in my powers. Hence is my blessing limited. I give you my blessing, but the blessing of Yahuwah remains preserved for ye, and he will bless you unlimitedly and multiply you as the fish of the sea and the sands on the seashore, as the stars in the sky and as the plants on the earth.
Mommy.
Yes.
You made soup.
Give me a second. After he had bestowed his blessings upon them, he asked them to propose capable, pious men that he might appoint them as judges and leaders over them. He said, if a man were to present himself to me as a candidate for this position of honor, excuse me, I alone should not be able to decide what tribe he belonged and whence he came, but you know them, and hence, Bella. And hence it is advisable for you to propose them. Do not think, however, that I must abide by your choice, for it depends solely upon me whether or not I shall appoint them. We got a few more sentences, y'all, and we'll be done. The people were very eager to carry this plan of Moses into execution and requested him to settle the matters as quickly as possible. But their motive was self-interested, for every one among them said, Moses will now appoint about 80,000 officials. If I myself should not be among them, surely my son will be, and if not, he my grandson. And with a gift of some kind, it would be an easy matter to induce such a judge to look after my interests at the court. Moses, of course, was not deceived about their true sentiments. Still, he paid no further attention to them and picked out the best men among the people, though they were not possessed of nearly all the good qualities Jethro had thought essential for judges and leaders of people. With kindly words, he invited them to assume their offices and said, Blessed are ye that are judged worthy of being leader of the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of a people whom Yahuwah called his friends, his brothers, his flock, and other titles of love. He impressed upon them that they possess much patience and must not become impatient if a lawsuit is brought before them more than once. Heretofore, he said, you belong to yourselves, but from now on you belong to the people, for you judge between every man and his brother and his neighbor. If ye are to appoint judges, do so without respect of persons. Do not say, I will appoint that man because he is handsome, because he is a handsome man or a strong man, or because he is my kinsman, or because he is a linguist. Such judges will declare the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent, not through wickedness, but through ignorance. And Yahuwah will reckon the appointment of such judges against you as a perversion of justice on account of your respect.
Mommy, look.
Okay, on account of your respect of persons. If a wicked man or a poor man come before you to court, do not say, why should I insult the rich man for so small a matter? I would rather give judgment in his favor, and then outside of court tell him to give the poor man what he demands, as he is in the right. But do not, on the other hand, if the poor man is in the wrong, say, the rich man is obliged to assist the poor man anyhow. I will now decide in favor of the poor, that in a decent way he may, without begging, obtain money from his rich fellow man. Do not, moreover, say, I see it, Tootie. I see it.
What's that bell?
Hold on. It's a circle. Do not, moreover, say, it's a star. Okay, I can see that. Do not, moreover, say, I fear to pronounce judgment, lest that man kill my son, burn my barn, or destroy my plants, for the judgment is Yahuwah's. After these admonitions, Moses instructed the new judges in legal procedure in both civil and criminal cases, and at the same time urged the people to deny the judges the veneration due him. For great is the importance of justice. For him who hates it, there is no remedy. But the judge who decides conscientiously is a true peacemaker for the will of Israel, of the commonwealth, and indeed of all living creatures. So we must not pervert justice at any moment. No matter what type of leadership position you are in, you are expected to do proper justice at all times. It don't matter whether they're rich or poor. If the rich was in the wrong, he should be judged appropriately. If the poor is in the wrong, he should be judged appropriately. We are not to take bribes, because bribes pervert justice. It perverts the heart, and it has people hold sway over the righteous decisions that should be given. Some people think they can pay their way out of everything. Yahuwah said this should not be so. That's why there should be, like you see the United States hold these proceedings for the judges that were appointed by, and it's not just with this president, but anytime they appoint judges, they go through this thing and they kind of grill them. They should grill them appropriately, but we see some biased grilling going on. But Yahuwah said it should not be biased at all. You know, those who are putting them in these positions, they should be completely unbiased, and those who are going up for these positions should be completely unbiased, that they will always render a righteous verdict, right? There's a whole lot of people that need to be cleaned out of positions of authority, right? But Yahuwah will do that, right? All right. Okay, beautiful people, so that was our reading for today. That was the Legends of the Jews, page 262 through 265. And we read Leviticus 18, 19, and 20. It is Wednesday, January 27, 2021, year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets. And of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 731. And remember, that is without the Sabbath days added in and the feast day Sabbath days added in. If they were, guys, we'd be well into the 800 day count. So, but with that being said, we're done for today. Remember, we won't be here tomorrow because we are observing the Sabbath. So let's go ahead and do the blessing, which is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Beautiful people. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. Nazarites can be men or women, right? Okay. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Who? Yahuwah.
Mom.
Put his name on us, and he
Mom,
himself will come and bless us.
bacon.
Thank you, baby girl. Okay, you can bake that later. All right, y'all. So with that being said, let me just double check questions. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out, joining here on YouTube, Facebook. All right, y'all. So if there are no questions, be out of here. Gotta go. Enjoy your day, and I will see y'all bright and early Friday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.